On Thursday of last week, Monica Lewinsky gave a talk at TED outlining the concerted media efforts to humiliate her in the wake of the 1998 White House scandal that ultimately led to the impeachment of then-President Bill Clinton.
At the age of 22, I fell in love with my boss. And at the age of 24, I learned the devastating consequences.
In her TED Talk, Lewinsky situates her experience as being at the forefront of an ultra-contemporary phenomenon. The story of the affair with Bill Clinton broke first online and rapidly started, to use language we lacked back in the 90s, trending.
What that meant for me personally was that overnight, I went from being a completely private figure to a publicly humiliated one worldwide.
In his new book, So You've Been Publicly Shamed, British satirist come reporter Jon Ronson investigates contemporary manifestations of what Monica Lewinsky called, in her National Magazine Award-nominated essay for Vanity Fair, our culture of humiliation. Ronson packs his book with examples, from Justine Sacco, the PR rep who tweeted a tasteless joke before getting on a 9-hour flight, to Jonah Lehrer, former New Yorker writer. Jonah had to apologize in public in front of a live stream of shaming tweets after reusing many of his blog posts for Wired and New Yorker articles, as well as fabricating quotes for his most recent book, Imagine. Lewinsky and Ronson aren't the only people currently investigating a culture hot to heap shame. Academic Jennifer Jackett also has a book out called Is Shame Necessary?, where she investigates manifestations of shame used to positive effect. Where Ronson's buzzy book narrativizes recent incidences in the annals of shame, Jackett's book offers a sort of social psychology explainer into its mechanisms. She writes, "Shaming, like any tool, is on its own amoral and can be used to any end, good or evil. Shame works as a punishment because, as human beings, we care about what other people think of us. We care about what other people think of us because it affects us, not just emotionally, but sometimes materially. Justine Sacco and Jonah Lehrer, for instance, both lost their jobs after being publicly humiliated." David Remnick, the editor of The New Yorker, even stood up for Lehrer at the beginning of the shame cycle. It wasn't until his humiliation had reached critical mass that Lehrer got the boot. Monica Lewinsky has been unable to find work since her public flogging at the age of 24.
Tonight.
You have been described as a bimbo, a stalker, a seductress.
Category tonight, possible first lines for Monica Lewinsky's new book. You all know the drill. We've been through this before.
This is perhaps a pivotal moment in public humiliation. As Haley Melodic writes in her NP Books review of Is Shame Necessary? And So You've Been Publicly Shamed, we perform our lives on social media, our current version of the public record. Lewinsky's story makes me think that where shame may once have been a valuable, or as Jackett has it, neutral tool, in the world we actually live in, it's a destructive force for policing dubious norms. The anonymous nature of the socially mediated shame cycle makes those norms more dubious than ever. We all screw up. And while we should each be held accountable for our various mistakes, the effects of shaming too often outweigh the transgressions they're meant to address.
We all deserve compassion, and to live both online and off in a more compassionate world.
Shame, it turns out, has an antidote, one that would also likely prevent us from committing to our most shameful behavior: empathy. Now, if only there were a tool to enforce empathy as the norm.